Hello and welcome. Here we are. It's September 15th, 2021, and time really does fly. Feels like anyway. My name's Sarah McLean, and I'm glad you're here today. We're going to be practicing meditation together. I'm going to talk a little bit about the practice and then tell you a few essentials that might help you navigate your practice. And then we'll go into a practice. And as you know, we do a different one every week. And if you're listening to this in a recording, you can join us live every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. in Europe. And so you can find out more about that at McLeanmeditation.com. So today I was thinking about what the people in my 30th class of teachers are studying right now. They are studying a little bit about the soul, mantra practice. We're also talking about self-inquiry practice. And I thought I'd guide you into a little taste of both of those, mantra and self-inquiry. And I'm just continuing to let people in, so hi and welcome. So let's talk about the basics of meditation and all the kinds of meditations you can do. You can, first of all, meditation requires 3 ingredients: your willingness to be here, your gentle, mindful attention, and the 3rd ingredient is whatever you put that attention on. Today, we're going to be putting it on the subtle sense of sound, the subtle sense of sound. So we're not going to be listening to the waves in the ocean. We're not going to be listening to a particular mantra or chant or prayer outside of ourselves. Instead, we're going to be saying asking ourselves some questions silently and saying a mantra silently. Now, there are so many ways to meditate, as you probably know. We've done them here, many different ways, whether it's the basic go-to mindfulness practice where you're putting your attention on your breath or your body, or whether it's a practice of generating or putting your attention on an emotion, such as compassion, forgiveness, or loving kindness, or gratitude. Or you could put your attention on a whole lot of other things, what you see, something you imagine. But today we're going to be putting our attention on those silent words that we say to ourselves. Now, the word mantra, M-A-N-T-R-A, is simply a word that means instrument or vehicle for the mind. And as I've mentioned before, it's like taking your mind, using whatever mantra, to the island of peace, from the island of chaos to the island of peace. And so we're going to be using a mantra today that's some I've taught before. That's a very general Sanskrit mantra. Sanskrit's an ancient language that's one of 4 or 5 ancient languages: Hebrew, Pali, Tamil, Sanskrit. There's one more. I don't know what it is right off the top of my head. But mantras are in every language. And so we're going to be using one that you might not understand the words, but it doesn't really matter, because what they're designed to do is to capture your mind's attention and take it from the activity of the everyday world into more subtler and subtler activity of the mind, until eventually the mantra disappears, your thoughts seem to disappear, your awareness of what's going on specifically can seem to disappear, and you bump into the thinker of the thought, the real you, the one who's looking through your eyes. Now, that's the first part of what I want to explain to you today, but the second part has to do with what's looking through your eyes, who's looking through your eyes. Now, many of you have heard of the man Ramana Maharshi. He's a man that in the mid 20th century, he was a guru in India. And he had an experience when he was really young of, I think it was 16 or 17, of thinking he was dying. He was on the couch in his uncle's house, and he kept thinking that he was losing his life. And this was a big wake-up call. If anyone's ever had that experience, it can be a giant wake-up call, like, what really matters anyway? Who am I anyway? What's the importance of this anyway? And I think at a very young age, this shifted his attention to what really matters, is finding out that who this life force is, what this is that's embodying him, embodying his body. So he would ask the question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And it continued for many years until he really, I can't put it into words, and he really couldn't either, but had the bliss of his existence, the bliss of his existence. Now, it's in every tradition. People try and name it, call it something, write poems about it, write prayers about it, sing about it, chant about it. But I think it's a direct experience that you can only have for yourself. I can't tell you how to have it. And I can only teach you the techniques that may help it to help bring about the experience of it. So we talked about the 3 ingredients of meditation. Now I want to talk about the basic essentials before we go into the practice. So I call them the 5 essentials, and it doesn't matter what order you put them in. The first is, if you are asking yourself a question or using a mantra or paying attention to your breath, it's okay to get off track and think about how to redecorate your living room or what you need to do later today or what just happened. It's okay. However, it's your job, once you notice you're no longer doing the practice, that you come back again and again and again and again, as many times as you need to. And that's the training. That's the strengthening of the awareness or attention muscle, is to come back again and again and again. So you can do that in the practice. So thoughts are okay. You don't have to magically stop thinking. It's okay. So be kind to yourself. That's the second essential. The third is not to try to have a certain experience. And the reason I say that is because I just told you about Ramana Maharshi, this man who was in India, and people would come to him all the time and ask, well, how can I get to the bliss of my experience? He goes, just keep asking, from where did that thought arise? You know, even that thought, how can I get to the bliss of my experience? Well, where did that thought arise from? So he would constantly meet everybody's question with a question. And so they were trying very hard to have a certain experience that he had illustrated for them. But you cannot get there by sheer willpower. You cannot get there by sheer willpower. You have to instead kind of surrender to the practice, whatever that may be for you. So that's the third essential, is do not try too hard. And the fourth is let go of expectations. As we've talked about in the past, you know, if you're meditating, you keep going, is this it? Is this it? Is this it? Probably isn't it, because that's a thought, right? And we are going to have the direct experience of the thinker of the thought, where you transcend activity of the mind. Now, you don't do it, the technique does it. So, and the last one is stay with the practice, even if you don't think it's working, because it works. That's why meditation's been around for 5,000 years or so, depending on your belief system. So it's been around a long time. It probably started with people, you know, wondering why the stars move a certain way. They thought that happened. Or why the sun moved. They thought that happened. Or why the moon moved. So there's a lot of that going on. My husband would say, you know, people weren't just distracted. They were sitting around the fire and looking at the sky. And that was their main meditation, or tuning into the breath, or gazing at some animation in nature, or sounds in nature, listening to sounds. So meditation's been around a long time, and obviously it's been in various traditions, various religious traditions, but we're removing the meditation from the religious tradition and bringing it into our tradition, the everyday householder lifestyle. Now, I did live in a monastery for a couple of years, and one time there was a sensei, which means teacher, from Japan that came over, and everybody was supposed to meet with him in a dokusan, which is a private meeting with a teacher. And as you get in the room, you bow to the teacher, and he wanted to know what koan I was working on. Now, a koan is a question that stops the mind. Like, and you've heard the traditional, what's the sound of one hand clapping? That's not really an actual koan, but that is what people say. But here's one, and I've mentioned this one before. What was your face before you were born? You know, where were you? And so these questions like that, even the who am I, and where is the thinker of the thought, or what is all this? These questions are not designed to be solved. They're designed to lead you into a direct experience of the thinker of the thought, the existence that lives through you as you. So I go to meet the teacher and he goes, what's your koan? And now there's some traditional Zen koan. Zen is the sort of the Buddhist, the Japanese flavor of Buddhism. He goes, what koan are you working on? I said, I'm working on who am I? He goes, very good. Very good. That is a traditional koan across the ages, across the religious ideals and concepts. So this is what we'll be learning today. So I'll guide you into a 20-minute practice. We'll start with the simple body awareness, simple breath awareness. And then we'll move to the heart-centered breath. You might be invited to put your hand on your heart if you want to drop your attention here. I'll guide you into that. And then we'll do a simple self-inquiry practice. Now, the self-inquiry, like I said, is not a question that you need to solve or answer or Google. It is simply sitting with the question in the stillness. And then after we do that, we'll introduce a mantra practice. Now, you don't have to think about the mantra. You don't have to think about the meaning of the mantra. You simply repeat the mantra as an anchor for your attention. And I'll tell you what the mantra is and what it means as we go into the practice. So get comfortable wherever you are, and I'll guide you into this practice. It's okay to move around during the practice or open your eyes if you need to. But I invite you to close them if that is comfortable for you. And while you close your eyes, you may notice your attention becomes a little less sight focused and a little more sound focused. So welcome the sounds in your environment. Simply notice what's here, the sounds of the sounds. Not trying to figure out if you like them or not or where they're coming from. Simply being the awareness that the sounds meet. You may even notice there are sounds internally. You might become aware of your heartbeat or your tummy growling or your breath. Also, with your eyes closed, you might notice that you're a little more aware of the physical sensations that are present. So begin to become aware of your body, where your hands are, where your feet are. Become aware of the air on your skin. The sensations of breathing. Welcoming every sensation like you welcomed every sound. Invite some softness to your face, and your belly, to your back. Lower your shoulders. and feel the support underneath you. Letting everything be as it is right now. There's no need to struggle against anything in this moment. And bringing your attention to the rise and fall of your chest, the expansion of your ribs on the inhale, and how the lungs empty on the exhale. As you let your breath be natural, it might change as you bring your attention to it. Drawing your attention to your breastbone. And if you'd like to put your hand over your chest or both hands, feel free to do that to keep your attention here for now. And just behind the breastbone, you can see, feel, or imagine the heart space. You can imagine the breath moving in and out from here, as if there's a doorway right where your hands may be. As you imagine the breath moving in and out, this helps to create this heart coherence, this brain-heart coherence. Now we're going to silently invite the question, who am I? There's no need to answer the question, simply sit with the question. You can repeat the question once every 10 seconds or so, as we'll do this for a minute or two. Silently asking the question, who am I? It may be met with a sensation, a sound, a feeling, or complete silence. It's all perfect. You might change the question to, who is this one sitting here? And if you get interrupted by a thought, you can say, from where does this thought arise? Now you can let the questions go, any answers that may have met them. Your hands are still on the chest. You can go ahead and let them rest on your lap. And tune in now to the breath, wherever you feel it most prominently. Become aware of the subtle sensations of the inhale and the exhale, and the pauses in between. We're going to begin a mantra silently. And if you have your own mantra that you prefer, feel free to use that. So on the inhale, you silently say the word Ham, spelled H-A-M, but pronounced Ham in Sanskrit. On the exhale, the mantra is Sa, S-A-H, Sa. Inhaling Ham and exhaling Sa. There's no need to force your breath or force the mantra. Just let it be a gentle repetition, like an internal prayer or chant. Mantra means I am that. There's no need to think of the meaning, but instead pay attention to the sound of the words, which closely resemble the sound of your breath. Hum on the inhale, Sa on the exhale. We'll be meditating like this for a few minutes more, and I'll keep track of the time. There's no particular experience you should be having. other than the one you're having. Be kind to yourself. Don't try too hard. Keep coming back. And now With your eyes closed, stop repeating your mantra and let's sit in the stillness just for a couple of minutes, resting in existence. Resting in awareness. And resting in gratitude. Deepen your breath if you like. Stretch into the space around you. Come out of meditation slowly like you went in, becoming aware of the sounds, the sensations. Notice how you're feeling. When you feel like opening your eyes, you can do that at your own pace. There's no rush. You might begin with a downward gaze or fluttering your eyes open slowly, gradually. Open your eyes all the way whenever you're ready. Thank you for joining me today. I bow to the existence that lives through you as you. I call it love. I bow to that, and I bow to you for taking your time, spending your time this way, cultivating that peace experience in the interior so you can be the beacon of peace in your community. Thank you for joining me today. Felt yummy to me. I like a lot of silence, even though I talk a lot. I want to hear how you're doing, how you're feeling. And most people do not hear, see, or feel an answer to that question. Don't worry if you didn't hear, see, or feel anything, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't ask it. You should ask the question, who am I? You can ask that question in any moment, in meditation, out of meditation, while you're in a conversation, while you're doing the dishes, or in the shower, because it's important to ask that question. You're the only one who can ask it and answer it. So thank you for doing that today. And there are many questions you can ask in self-inquiry. That is the primary one. I'm going to go ahead, and if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, you can do that or make a comment. In the meantime, I am going to say goodbye to those of you on recording.